Well now, with the survival of the Fenix TK72R prototype that was most recently submitted to a submersion test with the lovely young ladies, and its apparent survival of said submersion test, I think it might be appropriate to take the Fenix and the Olight X7R Marauder up to some altitude, perhaps to a more realistic dark conditions, and hopefully have an opportunity to perform a side-by-side test or something very close to that. So shall we, and see what happens. We are very close to dusk, actually in the middle of dusk, as you know, evidenced by the sun to the west, and beautiful lakeside location, perfect opportunity to do a little side-by-side with the current brightest lights that Gear Challenge has in their possession. That would be the, pardon the mosquitoes, the Olight X7R, and also called the Marauder, and the Fenix TK72R. That is a this is the light that may not be in production just yet. So I think this would be a nice opportunity for a little side-by-side. We'll use this log here, this quite dead log here, for our place of position, and attempt to get a little side-by-side in the trees, and as we dodge mosquitoes, attempt to get an idea of how these two lights compare. Again, I'm not attempting or alleging that these are comparative lights in any way. On the left will be the Olight X7R Marauder. On the right will be the Fenix TK72R. So hopefully you can trust my word that we are using these in the correct way. And we'll fire up the Olight first. This is on strictly the lower setting. We'll ramp it up and let it ramp up. It's ramping through one more time. That's at the brightest setting. And as we can see in the foreground, quite a bit of light on this manzanita. We can see quite a bit of illumination as well. Move this forward just a bit. Maybe not the best angle. Manzanita lighting up quite well. Trees, not quite so much. Not a lot of extreme throw on this. Ramp it, it's down, and on the brightest setting there, still with the naked eye, you can see the illumination of the trees here. The shrubbery here is quite illuminated. And again, I just don't have a stump that's quite high enough to allow for that. So the Olight is off. Let's go ahead and ramp up the Fenix. We have that little burst of it coming on, and we'll let this ramp up. Actually, using the plus button there to increase volume of light. And is it 6,100 lumens, 7,100 lumens, 8,100 lumens, 9,000 lumens, according to the display. Now I'm going to leave this at 9,000 lumens, or reported 9,000 lumens, as I turn on the Olight and attempt to evade some more mosquitoes. We're at the brightest setting with the Olight at this point. This is going to be a bit tricky because I'm going to attempt to juggle these with both hands. Here we have the Olight on the trees at about 6 feet above ground level, and now turning the Olight down and bringing the Fenix up. Again, the Fenix at about 6 feet above ground level and illuminating the trees. So as a comparison, we can pan here, we can pan over here with these trees, and you can see that that's an extreme amount of illumination. Very rudimentary type of a test, of course. Apologies for just thinking of it on the fly. Here we start with those trees there, spinning around here. Mosquito on the back of the head. Coming around to these trees. So both of these lights are illuminating quite a bit. Seems to be just a bit more spot with, well, I don't know. You be the judge. I'm being eaten alive here. So yeah, the Fenix seems to be just a bit more brighter, just a bit more throw than the Olight. But then again, I don't know if the Olight was designed to be quite that bright. So we'll ramp everything down, enjoy the remainder of this setting sun, and these mosquitoes as well. Boy, that Fenix is quite bright, or quite hot as well. The head is quite hot. So let's go ahead and just bring that off and enjoy the natural light as it remains. Good night. Well, now that brief field test in the mountains was a little more challenging than I had anticipated. Not the most ideal circumstances, and of course difficult to establish a good static position for the lights for the best comparison, and a bit of the juggling act that I had to contend with between the lights and the mosquitoes. This was for the Fenix TK72R and the Olight X7R Marauder. A couple of observations I've made since returning, and in this case I think it'd be appropriate to pop some Shiner black label or black lager. We'll go ahead and use the double-walled titanium Stein. And again, the bevel of the outside lips of the Stein function very well to capture and retain the head. We'll go ahead and, as I let that settle a bit, some of the observations I've been able to make between the Fenix and the Olight. Of course, the Fenix is a prototype light. Not a lot of data is still available to me on this. This is supposed to ramp up to 9,000 lumens, whereas the Olight X7R Marauder, it reports up to, according to the factory, up to 1,000, or rather 12,000, up to 12,000 lumens on this light. Both of these lights have 3 or triple LEDs built into the, obviously into the for the light device itself. I'm not sure exactly what the LEDs are for the Fenix. However, the Olight is reported to have an XHP70 LED, and there are 3 of those. Some of the differences that I've noticed are in the reflectors, that the Olight has a more shallow reflector. Well, let's go with the similarities first. Let's go with this first. Very good Shiner Bock product. Let's pop that off a little bit. Now, so the similarities are 3 LEDs in the reflectors, and the reflectors both have what are commonly referred to as orange peel reflectors. Roughened surface on the reflectors themselves. So that's the similarities. The LEDs, the size of them appear to be very similar to me, at least by my eye. I have not measured them directly. But the differences in the reflectors are that the Fenix seems to be deeper, seems to be longer and deeper on its reflector. I'm not going to try and take this apart, but if we can compare that to the Olight reflectors are a bit more shallow and a bit wider. I believe, again, no scientist, no technician, but I believe that that is probably what contributed to the more flood-like throw for the Olight X7R Marauder, and the more intense and more distant throw on the Fenix X or TK72R. So I believe that's what was contributing to that longer, more intense throw on the part of the Fenix light. The Olight, again, I enjoy the fact that the operating system for deploying the light is similar by presses of buttons, the number of times you press the button, how you hold it down, if you bring it off, and if you just press it and hold it, it will go into what is referred to as a moonlight setting or an extremely low setting. That is uniform with almost all of the Olight devices that I have personally used. So I enjoy that as an operating system. The other thing that I enjoy about this Olight is that the micro USB or the mini USB charging port is accessed by twisting the tailpiece of the body of this light. So that's another nice, unique aspect of this. On the Fenix, of course, to charge, you have to lift this rubber, small rubber diaphragm-like cover to access the full-size USB or the mini or micro USB port for charging. The full USB allows you to charge another device from the battery that's integral with the Fenix. Now, something that I've noticed that was different about these two light devices are that the Olight is powered by 4 18650 batteries. I have not been able to open the body of this just yet. I've not tried to force it. I have tried to twist it open, but again, I don't want to force it, and I cannot remember if this is a non-recommended activity for this light. So I don't want to try to force it and break it, at least not at this point, not at this test stage. The other interesting thing about the Fenix is in accessing the tail cap. It is not 18650 batteries, but it is a proprietary Fenix battery. It is a ARB-L45-14000. So this is a rather large battery. It does not appear to have necessarily a positive or a negative side. However, in rotating this around, that's the way it came from the representatives that I met with. And then firing this up, of course, we just got a little reading on the display, and then firing it up, it powers up, powers back off, and I think I'll just go ahead and try rotating the battery to see if that changes anything. I don't think it will, just based upon the configuration of the battery itself. It does not. Yep, we just had the display fire up, and here the display is indicating 0%, but again, this is a prototype device, and so I was told not to pay too much attention to the display. And by turning it on, we had that little flash, which is very common with this Fenix prototype. Actually, it did not flash. I just noticed that. So that's something interesting to look into a bit here in the future. So with that in mind, back in more civilized surroundings with some civilized beverage, and we'll move forward with some more additional tests on this light. Thank you.